Hello, welcome to a Sunny Book Nook. Today I'm going to be talking about some recent reads. There's just been things that I've been reading lately that have really been teaching me, and I hope can provide some additional perspective for you. The first book that I've read in recent memory that I think has been very interesting and just a very good read in the midst of what's going on right now is They Were Her Property by Stephanie Jones-Rogers. This book is basically about white women as slave owners in the South, because a lot of the American perception and idea of slave owning is patriarchal, when the reality is that white women were just as, if not more, brutal than white male slave owners. And I think that this book is full of first-hand accounts and primary documents and resources, as well as criticisms of how we tell history and how we talk about, or how historians have chronicled American slavery. It was really informative and heartbreaking and pissed me off, but I think it's a very necessary read, and I think that, especially with like the Amy Coopers of the world, a lot of white women, and especially white liberal women, are just not aware enough of their complicity in white supremacy and in upholding it. But white women need to do more reading. Read more Black radical women, authors, writers, thinkers. That goes for me too. Yeah, we should all read more like Angela Davis and Bell Hooks and Ruth Gilmore Wilson. And speaking of which, I've been rereading some of those people's that I just mentioned work lately, and beginning to read some of their work, and it strikes me how accessible the language these writers use and how simply they break down these complex ideas and these structures of race and gender and class and imperialism into very coherent and cohesive arguments. I just need more of these people who claim to care about Black lives, specifically these white and non-Black people, to read this. I compiled a Google Drive with some readings and a Google Doc with some resources for learning about abolition and the abolition of prisons and police, which is what I'm going to be talking about now. Right now we've been seeing a lot of calls to defund the police and simultaneously a lot of proposals of police reform. And police reform doesn't work. If you want to know more why, click on the Google Doc below, do some reading, watch some of the YouTube videos, look at the articles. I think that in the context of people getting engaged in learning about abolition, it's so important that we stick to what abolition actually is and we don't dilute it so that it can fit liberal reforms better. Because abolition is just that, it's abolition, okay? It's not making a better police system. No, it's getting rid of it. And it's about not just getting rid of something, but also building a new world, building a better world, one that's free of capitalist exploitation, of white supremacy. And a world without white supremacy and without exploitation and without inequality is so vastly different from the world that we live in right now that it is difficult to imagine anything beyond that. But as many abolitionist thinkers and people who've been studying the criminal legal system for years have been saying, a lot of systems of oppression in the moment that they were there for felt impossible to overcome. Hopefully we'll be able to look back at this and be like, wow, remember how in that old world there were these people who would just walk around and were allowed to kill people because they weren't white? I think that that day will come, but it's up to us to keep reading and learning and teaching and fighting and building the structures and the realities of that world. And like I said, the first step to that is the reading, because action without theory is like a train without train tracks. Click the links in the description. Please do the reading. And not just the reading of white people writing about race, but the readings that analyze racial capitalism from a historical lens, from a Black feminist lens. And I really highly recommend watching the video that I have, the YouTube video I have linked in the Abolition Resources doc. Another book that I recently read that is fictional but made me think a lot was Heads of the Colored People by Nafissa Thompson Spires. This book is a collection of short stories that are all linked together in terms of the people, like they all come and contact each other and each character is kind of adjacent to the other character's life, coming from story to story to story. We jump into different perspectives of Black people in America in kind of modern day America, ranging in, you know, gender and age and background. And it's very unique in like kind of specific scenarios, situations that then analyze a lot of systemic things from those particular characters' perspectives and experiences. And it was fascinating and hilarious and heartbreaking. For example, some of the characters we follow are this cosplayer, or this girl who does ASMR, or this girl who had a chronic sweating issue in elementary school and got bullied for it. I think that it is just a beautiful look at people and how people function underneath systems of oppression and white supremacy, and how they survive and how they interact with each other, and it's just so good. Highly recommend. It kind of reminds me of Bernardine Evaristo's Girl, Woman, Other, because Girl, Woman, Other is also structured in that way of like where chapter to chapter we go into different characters' heads and we explore their psyches and their experiences. So I think if you like that book, you should definitely check this one out too as well. So yeah, that's all I have to say today. Go read more Black radical writers, read more Black women. Happy Pride Month, I guess. Stay safe out there. And FTP, fight the power, fuck the police. What are the other ones? Goodbye.